Usually what happens is when a president leaves office, they've already worked at creating a presidential library. The library was built in 1979, which is quite a long time after President Kennedy was assassinated and left office in 1963. It took many years to figure out where to place the library, to build the library. Mrs. Onassis wanted this building to not only be a presidential library, but a memorial to her husband. So we have this wonderful, wonderful pavilion that you see behind me to really showcase the contemplative nature of President Kennedy, his administration, and what could have been had he lived. In 1964, Mrs. Kennedy announced that it was going to be designed by Ming Pei. It was actually an open search, a national search to find a new and upcoming architect, and Ming Pei was selected and chosen. So we have an Ming Pei building, and we do have some of the original architectural drawings and schematics from Ming Pei, and it's really interesting to see that one of the earlier iterations of this building is actually the pyramid that now sits above the Louvre.
The architect took full advantage of the horizon, the expansiveness of the bay, and the choice to really highlight the building as a sculptural presence in an otherwise pristine surrounding. So I think all of those added to the choice of the site and how the building ultimately came to be. I think one of the intentions that Ming Pei had as he was designing, you would have a 10-story tall prismatic concrete, precast concrete wedge coupled with a stark black glass atrium space. And the size and scale of it begins to change as you approach the building. That is when you realize how mammoth and how big and how monumental this building is. And you enter it surrounded by the gentle curvature of the theater that is on the one side, and then the jetting triangular prismatic mass of the precast concrete tower, and then this black enigmatic prism of an atrium that is attached to it. And in that sense, I think the intention of portraying John F. Kennedy's life as something that has been cut short, and yet with full of promise and full of potential, I think that comes through and is captured very well. Another thing that it captures is it echoes of a gigantic ocean liner. It echoes of a spaceship. And all of these are themes that you begin to read and understand from the life and career and history of John F. Kennedy. I think that's what is significant about that important space is the echo. As you speak in hushed voices and as you contemplate and take these in and reflect, you begin to hear the echoes. Some are gentle and some are much more pronounced, but all of those are captured in the backdrop of the Dorchester Bay and the Boston City line. So I think the resonance between the life of JFK and the space of the building, I found that to be absolutely remarkable, elevating, and yet enigmatic.
The first and second floors are open to the public. That is where we have our galleries, the exhibit galleries. It is a self-guided tour, so the exhibits are created in a way for the visitor to flow and walk through the exhibits so that you're beginning with President Kennedy's campaign for the presidency. Then it goes through that campaign to election night, then to the inauguration, and then it opens up into a display of various programs and projects and events that have happened during the Kennedy administration, all surrounded by a replica of the White House corridor, so that visitors have a feeling of being in the White House. We also have a temporary exhibit gallery that we created in 2012. Right now, we're celebrating the World War II history. John F. Kennedy served in World War II. The other part of the building, the tower, is really administrative functions. We have 3 research rooms in the building. We have an audiovisual research room, a general research room, and we have the papers of Ernest Hemingway here, and we have a Ernest Hemingway research room as well.
Initially, the site that JFK himself had imagined was in Cambridge. And so eventually, when they moved it to the campus of University of Massachusetts in Boston, in Dorchester Bay, I thought that it was, as a site choice, that is probably more appropriate, because it overlooks the land and the city that has been instrumental and important in the life of JFK and his family. But the site itself was problematic because it was reclaimed land. And it was a landfill, essentially, and that meant that the construction of such an enormous undertaking had to be properly, grounded, and the foundations, the piles that had to be dug deep, and all of the technical challenges would be invisible today. As you visit the site, you don't see them. He uses precast concrete, and he has used it quite extensively throughout his projects. But in this particular case, he made a particular choice of using pristine white terrazzo finish of a precast concrete system. And I think the choice of the system was important because when you put together the precast blocks, they provide a more uniform field as opposed to cast in situ concrete that would have given a variable surface and pattern as opposed to the monolithic nature. So I think that Ming wanted to achieve a monolithic appearance, and that it would be read as a solid wedge, but also that this particular material would be very long lasting. Ming Pei has long talked about the importance of buildings being thought about and imagined for hundreds of years. So that, I think, is one of the material choices. The other choice is the steel space frame structure that houses the atrium with black glass. And that is, at once you have the solidity of precast concrete and the brightness of it, pure brightness. It is so white. And then you have the fragility or the delicate nature of the material of glass that is gently placed on the space frame structure. I think one accentuates the other. In a way, the glass black structure starkly contrasts against the white precast concrete wedge. They accentuate each other. And I think the contrast is probably one of the important things. And when you look at it against the deep blue sky, then we begin to understand that this has been intentionally orchestrated to bring out such a contrast. Because I think the presidency of JFK was full of contrasts and full of achievement, full of directionality and full of vision, and all of those are captured in the material choices as well as the formal and spatial choices. So the Boston Architectural College is a 133-year-old institution. It was founded in 1889, the same year Eiffel Tower was built. So that should give some idea that the BAC, as we fondly call it, has been a presence in Boston and the New England area, and anything that happened architecturally in this region had some connection to the college. And the college was founded as Boston Architectural Club in 1889 to serve those underserved communities, particularly immigrants and children of immigrants. We did not have access to the handful of architecture programs in the country, or the need to go across the pond to Europe to get architecture education. So today we have around 818 students base, and we have students coming from 54 countries and more than 30 states in the country here. So it is a vibrant place, and it is of course located in Back Bay in Boston, another vibrant location in the city on the Newbury Street. And it has been plugged into the city and the professional networks for a very long time. The educational model that we offer is called concurrent education, where the students are educated in the practical training setting as well as the academic training setting simultaneously. And in terms of activities, the college has always been a place, a haven for innovation. And the institution has played an important role in advancing the discourses of architecture and design for a very long time. Literally thousands of people have been touched by this institution over these years. So it's an absolute privilege to serve as a president of this great institution, Boston Architectural College.